Hello friends, this is the strangest article I have written so far due to contradictory rumors. The latest news has forced me to rewrite this article. Now I am going to do for hours exactly the same as you. Keep an eye on the latest news and comments to see if there are any surprises. Last night, after Trump gave his so-called goodbye speech, I had the most serene and wonderful dream you can imagine. Something inside me told me that everything was in order despite the appearances, and that there was no cause for concern. Even if he had officially won, he would have had to resign from the old USA corporation to make the way for the new restored constitutional republic to fulfill the Resign program. He also said that it's not a long-term goodbye. A goodbye means the beginning of something new that doesn't necessarily have to be bad, like a bachelor party. Whoever knows the storm sees the rain and smiles calmly. He doesn't wait in fear for it to pass. He is at peace in the midst of it, knowing that sooner rather than later the sun will rise. I don't understand at all the hatred that someone has expressed to me, because I do not harm to anyone. Opinion article: Relay or reset? Joe Biden sworn in as president of the US. Trump leaves a secret letter for Biden. Trump didn't mention Biden in his speech, nor did he speak of ceding power to his rival. Trump said that it will come back somehow. He explained that this is not a long-term goodbye. This resignation can be part of the great plan. His son compares him with the Lion King who returned. Amazing Simpsons prophecy for this January 20th. Would the Republic die or be born on Judgment Day? Would he resign from the corporation to start the Republic? The former president promises that this movement will remain alive. In quotes, the movement we started is just beginning. The worst thing about goodbyes is the uncertainty of the return. Would there be a transitional military government on January 20th? General Hyten spoke about the emergency broadcast system. What may seem like the end could also be the beginning. Senator Barr's corruption investigation abandoned. Juan Osabin says this relief could be part of neither. McConnell threatened Trump with impeachment if he pardons Assange. Every farewell is always accompanied by a new starting point. A brilliant meteorite crosses Spain and causes a great explosion of light. A witness talks about the system of a subway complex under Denver, Colorado. Many Spanish YouTubers emigrate to Andorra because of excessive taxes. The Palomares nuclear accident in Almería, Spain, has turned 55 years old. Let's start. Joe Biden was sworn in on January 20th at noon as the 46th President of the US. Chief Justice John Roberts administered the oath. Biden took the oath in unprecedented circumstances, standing before a national mall that was virtually empty due to security concerns arising from the assault of the Capitol. Biden, 78 age, succeeds President Trump, who did not attend to the inauguration. Joe Biden was inaugurated in a ceremony held at the Capitol, the seat of Congress. In quotes, I do solemnly swear that I will faithfully execute the office of the President of the U.S. and to the best of my ability preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the U.S., Biden said. Kamala Harris was sworn in as the new Vice President of the US, and the Secretary of Defense, David Nakish, took over as interim head of the Pentagon. In quotes, "We must end this uncivilized war that pits red against blue, rural against urban, conservative against liberal. We can do this," Biden said. This sounds great, but we'll see the facts. Biden is expected to sign a list of nearly 2,000 executive actions within hours, including an order to stop construction of the border fence, return to the Paris Climate Agreement, and cancel the travel ban. Justice Department drops insider trading the investigation of Senator Richard Barr announced Tuesday that the Justice Department has closed its investigation into shares sold an hour at the time. It had received closed-door reports about the CCP bag. Trump leaves secret letter for Joe Biden. White House Press Secretary Judd Deere confirmed that former President Trump left a note for President Biden following the presidential tradition. They did not reveal the contents of the note, citing privacy concerns. Several media outlets say that the Vice President Pence also left a note for Vice President Kamala Harris. Farewell. Trump left the White House prior to the inauguration ceremony. The former president left the White House early for the last time during his 4-year term, just hours before JB's inauguration. Goodbye, quotes, "goodbye, but hopefully not a long-term goodbye," he told reporters as he left the White House for the last time. Trump also thanked his supporters during a farewell ceremony at Andrews Joint Base in Maryland. Trump told supporters that he will come back somehow. A day earlier, former President Trump gave a powerful farewell speech on Tuesday. This speech was neither eliminated nor censored by the technological elites. In his closing remarks, Trump promised that his movement will endure. To interpret this news, remember my favorite phrase: "Things are not what they seem." Juan Osabi thinks that Trump would resign now, but not the way we think. He would be allowing a smooth transition of power to the military, a transition to martial law. As predicted, General Flynn would take the reins here for a while. Nothing was heard about JB during Trump's speech, nor was anything heard about surrendering power. In his opinion, the fact that he would have to resign from the dead U.S. corporation in order to make the way for the new constitutional republic would be part of Nisra and Yisra program for the new 1776 Constitution Party administration. He adds that according to this program, all leaders should be removed and the Yisra Party should be created worldwide. In that case, we would be witnessing the best show on earth, because this has always been part of the great plan. His son, Trump Jr., compares the White House inauguration to the end of King Lion and suggests that an epic return may be on the horizon. King Lion ends the lions that rise up and defeats evil. Simpsons prophecy. Apocalyptic Simpsons prophecy for this January 20th. A recent chapter of the Simpsons cartoon series made a frightening prognosis for this January 2021, the day of the new president's inauguration. The script writers predict the arrival of a true apocalypse. Simpson fans are sure that the legendary series predicted several important events in the world, from the arrival of Trump to the presidency to the health crisis. According to The Simpsons, today, Wednesday, the four horsemen of the apocalypse are visiting us, waiting for us with enthusiasm. Now, internet users are wondering if The Simpsons' recent forecast for this January 20th will come true. The chapter of the Little House of Horror on the 32nd season predicts the arrival of the four horsemen of the apocalypse on the day of the presidential elections. According to The Simpsons, the four horsemen of the apocalypse would arrive: the plague, hunger, war, and death, who would be willing to put an end to society as we know it. In one of the fragments, Homer is sitting on the roof of his house, wearing an armor of pots and pans, and is surrounded by a burning city in full chaos. Sensationalist rumors. The FCC has asked all television stations to clean up their schedule starting to 8 a.m. on Wednesday, January 20, because the armed forces were going to produce programming through the emergency broadcast system for at least the next 72 hours. The networks could be criminally liable if they did not allow the broadcasts to take place. General Hyten, now spokesman for the armed forces, is the highest-ranking military officer and chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. He was on the telegram on Tuesday, tomorrow, January 19, saying that January 19th was yesterday. In quotes, "Today the emergency broadcast system will be used. We will see if this is true or not." Military government. Would there be a 2 or 3 months transitional military government? This is the question Rafa Pal asks himself based on the statement of Major General William Walker, commander of the National Guard in Washington, D.C., when he said in a television interview that the D.C. area is a security bubble and that there will be a peaceful transfer of power to the military. This phrase has given rise to much speculation on the net, but there is a possibility that it was a slip or a mistake by the chief. The walls around the Capitol Hill are designed to keep people in, and that is interesting. Daniel Hawkinson, head of the National Guard office, says that the 25,000 troops stationed in Washington, D.C. for the inauguration, in quotes, are trained and ready for anything that is asked of them. He adds that the troops have been thoroughly vetted because we do not allow extremism of any kind in our organization, and that is right. 12 National Guard members are removed from alleged extremist ties. 12 National Guard members have been removed from the operation that could ensure security during Joe Biden's January 20th inauguration, after an investigation found they had links to extremist groups or posted extremist views online. Extremist is always bad, I think. Declassification. Mike Adams says that declassification has been delayed. The militarization of Washington, D.C. has become extreme, and death bomb soldiers have been deployed. Specifically, the Pentagon has brought in 750 specialized soldiers trained to deal with chemical, biological, nuclear, radiological, and explosive weapons. Another 2,000 active duty military were also brought in, claiming that they are present simply for ceremonial purpose, i.e. decoration, which seems silly. Since declassification was an important benchmark throughout the operation, we could conclude that the White Hat operators have been significantly delayed. On the positive side, we learned that CIA Director Gina Haspel had resigned and that she was a key person who blocked many of the documents of the false Russiagate plot from the beginning. Therefore, it's possible that her dismissal will now clear the way for further declassification. CIA Director Gina Haspel resigns. The agency thanked Haspel for her years of service in the intelligence community. In late 2020, Republican leaders expressed frustration over Haspel's inability to produce the investigative documents on Russia that they requested in connection with the FBI's investigation into Trump's campaign called Crossfire Hurricane. 200,000 American flags were placed on the Capitol, lawn to represent the people, but they are flags, not people. The real people have been kept away with barbed wire, barricades, and the military presence that smacks of authoritarianism. But it has been prudent to stay away to avoid false flag riots. False flag plans were defeated in recent days by people who stayed home. The battlefield is a fluid situation with movement and counter-attacks. Some days the information is positive, other days it's negative. We can only look and speculate. There are many Marines arriving in Osprey planes, rumors of larger armored vehicles and possible additional missile systems, but not confirmed. Proclamation. Former President Trump issued a proclamation of the National Day of the Sanctity of Human Life, a critical statement in the name of God to position the United States as a nation and a God, and not a nation of baby killers, because abortions are allowed at 9 months of pregnancy, and that sounds like murder to me. Attorney Lynn Wood has released videos in which a witness reveals highly compromising information about murders, bribes, and child trafficking involving well-known politicians and judges. Short news. Trump declassifies Russia investigation. The president declassified material related to the FBI investigation that led to an inquiry into Russia, according to a copy of the memo released by the White House. In quotes, "This is my final determination under the declassification review, and I have directed the Attorney General to implement the language proposed in the FBI's January 17th handover and return a properly drafted copy to the White House." Close dots. The president said. A special prosecutor, Robert Mueller's investigation concluded that there was no collusion between the Kremlin and Trump's election campaign in the 2016 presidential election. U.S. accuses Turkey of not acting as an ally. Secretary of State candidate Anthony Blinken believes that Turkey's purchase of Russian S-400 missile systems is unacceptable and is convinced that additional sanctions against Ankara should be considered. Unusual testimony. Subway complex and the Denver airport. According to Ken Schwartz, there is a massive 90-story city and a separate country underneath Denver. In quotes, "I live and work in Denver, and while I attend to customers and have seen different species coming, some with changing eyes, others with eyes that reflect backwards like a dog's eye when you take a picture of them. Then a group of comforters. All of them were telepathic, because when I spoke mentally about them and said hello, they turned to me, smiled and nodded. The reptiles, or whatever they were, shook themselves so I could see them, and I ran, paid for their drink, and they left. Although I treated them as if they were normal, I couldn't believe that no one else could see what I saw." but I'm also clairvoyant, so I wondered if that's why I could see them. Model Harry Brandt, son of US billionaire Peter Brandt, died Sunday at age 24 from an accidental drug overdose, according to a statement issued by the family to which People magazine had access. I am very sorry for the family. A brilliant meteor crosses Spain and causes an explosion of light. This Monday, a cosmic stone has crossed the sky of Galicia after impacting on the Earth's atmosphere. The collision has caused a very striking explosion of light, which several witnesses have defined as a fireball, and has caused some detonations which have been made some windows vibrate. Several dead and injured by a strong explosion in the center of Madrid. At least 3 dead and a dozen injured by a strong explosion that took place after 15 hours in the center of Madrid, in the area of Puerta de Toledo. The deflagration has blown up the upper floors of a building where a fire has been declared after the explosion and is in danger of collapsing. War between Spanish YouTubers. The march of El Rubius to Andorra fuels the controversy over the tax culture. In recent years, many Spanish YouTubers have decided to change their residence, and especially their tax domicile, to Andorra, the tiny state on the border with Spain that functions as a kind of tax haven for this group. Tax paradise, I mean. The last one to do so was Ruben Douglas Gundersen, better known as El Rubius, who at 30 years of age is the YouTuber with the most subscribers in the country, almost 40 million, the third in the Spanish language, and the 44th globally. In addition, its videos has almost 10,000 million views on YouTube, according to Social Blade site. Palomares, 50 years of affronts. Almería commemorates the 55th anniversary of the most important nuclear accident up to Chernobyl, according to my brother Jose, who has researched this topic, from whose article I published an extract. Since 1945, no nuclear bombs had fallen on a population. Fortunately, the US did not put a pitch on Madrid in case the bombs exploded, as Captain General Agustín Muñoz Grandes joked to USAF lawyer Joe Ramirez. Neither the denunciation filed since 2017 by ecologists in action in the national audience for the inhibition of the National Security Council, nor the warning of the European Commission for Spain to report on the measures adopted for a rehabilitation plan. We are still waiting a rehabilitation plan. Finally, we must remember that what has happened during these 55 years in part of Vera, Palomares and Villaricos is a clear example of how much their fate has not only been influenced by their will, capacity or effort. I believe that it is time to urge and support our local and provincial politicians to start the clean-up structured in the Palomares Rehabilitation Plan 2010 without waiting for the country that caused it, or for the country that caused it, US, or other excuses to delay. There is a great delay of the cleaning of contamination radioactive. And that's all for today. Thanks a lot, dear friends. And we are waiting for news, because this is very an historical moment, as I said. Look after you and take care of you. Thanks a lot.